think it just, being outside, I think just grew on me. Like I didn't know any different, so I think that's why I fell in love with it. A year or so before my injury, I would say I was, yeah, about in my prime in my climbing career as well. Maybe 6 to 9 months into the injury, it just felt hopeless. And then the joy and purpose of life, like my job that I got to do very luckily, like I got to run around.
I thought this was really intimate filmmaking, just a really great capturing of these individual stories, of their spirit, of their resilience in the face of adversity, and needing to adapt to new physical challenges while still having that drive of adventure. And I think that drive to get out and explore and physically um, conquer mountains and climbing was that drive throughout the piece as well. And I think that tied it all together in a pretty brilliant way. Getting to see the everyday challenges that kind of led up to the physical challenges of getting outside and getting in that flow state. I thought it was really well crafted, great pacing, and I just really appreciated the honesty and lack of being contrived throughout the piece. So props.
I really enjoyed the way that we got to hear everybody's stories in the group throughout the film, so it wasn't all, dumped in the beginning or at the end. Throughout the film, we would hear different people's stories, which I thought was a cool way of telling the story. Um, just seeing how everybody got to be there. So we focused on the individuals while also focusing on the group and what they're doing. Um, it did a really good job of also raising awareness for the lack of infrastructure in place for people with disabilities to do this kind of thing, and just live life like the rest of us and have those adrenaline rushes and have those adventures without the need of able-bodied people as well, which I think is really important. And this did a really great job of bringing awareness to that. The structure I already talked about worked very well with dispersing the stories and also having the overarching story of their trip through the desert together. Also lended itself really well to beautiful imagery, beautiful drone shots of them triking through the desert. So the camera work was really beautiful as well, and it really worked well to capture that.
Pretty full, in-depth coverage of a group of people that not many other people would have a familiarity with or experience with. Very solid documentary, and it's one that did a great job of utilizing location for both visual and story purposes. The way that they were able to kind of capture the Midwest and then use that as the basis for this exploration of these people kind of working to overcome their disabilities. I thought that it was really effectively done, and kind of related to that. I really appreciated the way the film would talk about the disabilities of the subjects and the way that the subjects would talk about themselves. It would mention it, it presented it very plainly, but it never dwelled on the fact that these people were disabled, and it focused on how they were continuing to live a fulfilling life in spite of their condition, instead of maybe focusing more on the negative aspects of a physical disability, which is a direction that the film could have gone in, and I'm very glad that it didn't. I think that the choices made here, the film was much better for it.
It was really a treat to be led into this world and learn about something and a set of thrills and lifestyle that I didn't even know existed. So for that, I was just really grateful and intrigued. And the whole piece is really put together really rather well. Strong editing, good pacing, just really tells the story of these individuals and their journey in a sort of inspiring and fresh way. So all in all, it was a really strong piece.
The story, again, as of so many films, is not in the rocks and the skies, but in the people themselves. These are people who, in most cases, became disabled because of some sort of genetic defect or accident. So they did for most of their lives, 1/3 of their life, as one young woman put it, led completely normal, active lives. And indeed, what this film shows is how terribly athletic some Americans are. And obviously, nature sports is uh, a major outlet. So again, you hear their stories of how they overcame their sense of depression as to their condition and got out into the nature and enjoyed it. And when you see the scenery, you can say good for them. And so it's an inspirational film.
It started out with these white backgrounds, and then transitions as the picture expands, as telling the story of these people that have disabilities, and it was just very very emotional and very heart wrenching. Like heartwarming how these people, despite the disabilities, were able to be part of this gang of athletes, that bikers and hiking mountains and things like that. And that was pretty cool. Then from the picture perspective, pictures, then it turned into a full-on documentary. So that was pretty cool.
You are learning about them, and you are learning about how their injuries affected them, and kind of how they formed their little group, and or maybe not a little bit, how they formed their community, or how they all got involved, and how they can do all this off-roading, and about this specific trip that they all took together. But you're also being educated on the lack of infrastructure, the lack of setup, the lack of general understanding and knowledge. At one point, he was talking about how everyone kind of would assume that it's the biggest adjustment, like driving, having to change from foot pedals to like a hand control, and how it really wasn't a big change at all. I don't think most people even know what that setup would look like, and it's like, it looked very, very minor as like adjustments go. Like it's just another little thing on the steering wheel. So I think that in general, there's a lot of education that's going on with this film. There's real raw emotion and opinions and thoughts and struggles that they all face